TMG Fam, it's your boy L. I'm back with another reaction video, man. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel, man. And check this out, man. The chef is back with something a little new you guys sent me, man. So I was like, what the heck? Let's try it, man. This is 3 true Craigslist horror stories. Shout outs to Mr. Nightmare for putting this out. 3 true Craigslist horror stories, bro. I figured with all the music as of late that we've been listening to, this is something else we might want to hear about, just to let people know to be safe out there with all their purchases. Try to say that word, getting that word out. Purchases and endeavors that they be doing. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. Technology is changing. You know, we're becoming a lot more reliable shopping online. So it's always room for us to get, you know what I mean, put in a position, or if we're not paying attention or being aware, can get caught up in some type of scheme or some kind of something, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody's not trustworthy, you know what I mean? So we're gonna check out this 3 true Craigslist horror stories real quick. Before we do, man, shouts out to you guys real quick. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, man. Let's get the likes up. I've been seeing them up. And turn on your post notifications and rock with the fam. And we're gonna check this out, man. With that being said, let's read it. Craigslist is a great place to find good deals on basically everything. Exactly. And that's why people feed on that. They know that we're on here desperately looking for good deals and different things like that. So they feed on that. It says, but it can be very dangerous. You have no idea what kind of person you are communicating with. Exactly, as these stories will exemplify. So be careful.
Number 3. I'm a 22-year-old girl. I was looking on Craigslist to buy a couch for my new apartment a month ago. I found something I thought seemed like a good deal.
Look at the name. Sometimes you gotta look at the name and be like, that's kind of, if you can see it, look at the name in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. It says, not my screen, but the actual box that's over here. It says Mexican Poppy 666 at Hotmail. How old is this video? I was about to say, who still uses Hotmail? If you still out there using Hotmail, I'm already being like, why you ain't got a Google? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of, but the name is kind of already got me red flag.
In the pictures, the couch seemed to be in great shape. The seller wanted to be contacted by email. His email was mexicanpoppy666 at hotmail.com. I felt that email was a bit off-putting, but I still went ahead and emailed the man my offer.
I would too, so I'd probably try to create like a separate from my main email. I create like an email account to contact them. And another thing, if we meeting up, always meet up at police stations. Yeah, you want to meet me somewhere? Meet me at a police station for our pickup. Nowhere abandoned, nowhere random. Nah, meet me at the police station to pick my stuff up.
He responded within 5 minutes, accepting the offer and asking for my address. I honestly felt uncomfortable with his asking. I did not want a stranger coming to my house. I suggested that I just come to his house to pick it up, but he continually insisted that he come to my house. Eventually I stopped responding, and a day later, he emailed me again, giving me his address. I didn't know if I should go at that point, but it seemed like a steal, almost too good to be true. And according to his address, he didn't live too far.
Oh my gosh, no. And I hope she didn't go alone. Please.
So I got in my van and drove over to the seller's house. I immediately noticed that the house was a bit smaller than all the other houses on the block. When I rang the bell, a middle-aged man wearing a baseball cap answered the door. He gave me a huge smile and invited me in. I was immediately feeling uneasy. He led me into his living room, and I saw the couch. Immediately, I saw scuff marks and small tears in the couch. It was not at all in the shape that it appeared in the ad. I commented on this, and he just smiled and offered to lower the price. I told him I'm not interested, and here's where things started getting creepy.
She had all the signs. Sometimes trust your gut, especially women. Y'all little women, y'all women's intuition. A lot of times, unless it's about me, I always say it's wrong and it's off. But a lot of times y'all are right.
As I was making my way out of the house, he put his hand on my shoulder and offered to give it to me for free, if I was willing to, quote-unquote, give something to him. I let out a disgusted gasp and got back into my car. I didn't even look up out the window. I just drove away from there quickly.
I'm glad she got out of there safe. Jeez, it could have been a whole hell of a lot worse.
But it doesn't end there. That same night, I was laying in my bed watching TV when I thought I heard somebody stomping up the steps of my porch. I muted the TV and was able to clearly hear the sound of somebody fiddling with my front doorknob. I jumped out of my bed and tiptoed over to the front door to look through the peephole, but whoever it was already gone. And then, I thought I could hear the sound of the gate to the backyard opening and closing. That was when I grabbed the phone and dialed 911. Soon after, I heard the sound of somebody fiddling with the doorknob to the back door of the apartment. I yelled to whoever it was that the police were on their way, and after that, I heard the sound of the gate opening and closing again. They were gone. This was a month ago and nothing has happened since, but I still can't sleep at night. I'm 99% sure it was the man that was selling the couch. He must have followed me home. There was no way it was just a coincidence.
We'd had to move. There's ain't no way I couldn't feel safe leaving my family in the house and I'm not there. We'd had to move. And my missus, oh yeah. We'd have been moving the next day. She don't play that. No.
I don't plan on using Craigslist anymore, and I'm still trying to find a new apartment. Number 2. I was looking for a car to buy for my son for his 18th birthday. I was searching all the typical car websites, cars.com, eBay Motors. They were all overpriced as expected. Craigslist was the only place to find an actual deal. About a week into my search, I found an 03 Toyota Camry. It had 67,000 miles, no accidents, no damage, and good condition for only $3,500. This seems like a steal for such a reliable car with such low mileage.
And they do. That's how they get you. It seemed like a steal. Now, don't get me wrong. You can find deals like that sometimes. Normally, if you find in 2019, you find a 2003 Toyota Camry with only 67,000 miles on it, which you automatically assume, oh, maybe like an older person, has it and never really drove it because they're elderly, so they maintained it and it's low on mileage. Because that's how my grandmom's is. She has a 1995 Camry. 1995 Camry she has that still has less than 100,000 miles on it. You know what I'm saying? So I would automatically think that. So that's how they could play on you. It's crazy.
Mileage. The seller lived about 10 miles from me, which was a reasonable drive when looking for a car. I gave him a call to set up a time to come check it out. The man sounded normal on the phone. He assured me that there were absolutely no problems with the car. He introduced himself as Bob. I brought along $3,500 in cash, even though I planned on wiggling down the price as much as possible. I pulled up the dirt road to Bob's property about 15 minutes early. It was a tiny little house with a decent-sized property, only because it was a bit far from the nearest neighbors. The garage was open, so I walked over to see if anybody was inside, but except for an unusual amount of car parts, it was empty. The car was nowhere in sight. The only car on the property was an old pickup truck. I went over to the front door to check the house numbers. It was the right address. The doorbell button was missing, so I knocked on the front door. I knocked for exactly 5 minutes.
These people be killing me, man. How they just get out and they see stuff that gives signs that maybe I don't feel like. I would go back to the car, be calling on the phone. You need to come out. You need to meet me. I don't see nothing. I'm in my car and I'm out. You're not boxing me in somewhere. I'm not getting cornered somewhere. You're not. Nah.
Before deciding to give the man a call. So I dialed his number and I heard the sound of a cell phone ringing from inside the house. I was extremely confused at this point. Now I knew I had the right house. I didn't understand why, if he was home, why he wasn't answering. I decided I had to take a peek through one of the windows to see if anybody was inside. Peering through the...
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep watching these, man. These is worse than scary movies, bro. When you be like, why are you going and why are you doing that? Why are you falling?
Glass. I couldn't really see much as it was pretty dark inside the house. I saw a very old-fashioned dining room set, but across from that, I saw somebody standing at the back door of the house, staring outside. I figured that must have been Bob, so I knocked on the window, but he didn't even move. There was no gate or anything to the backyard. It was just a wide open yard since this wasn't a rural area. I simply walked around the house to the backyard. I didn't understand how he couldn't hear me. When I got to the back door, I made a shocking realization. The figure standing by the door was a taxidermied human being.
Now you have... Let's keep going. They started to make my blood boil with some of the decision making.
I ran straight back the way I came and back to my car. I looked up one last time before driving off. The blinds to the window I had peeked into had been shut, but I could see two of the blinds bent open. Somebody was at that window watching me. You can probably guess I had the gas pedal to the floor the whole way home. The whole situation still makes no sense. All the car parts, the fact that there was no Toyota Camry, the taxidermied human being. The fact that there was no car there leads me to believe that whoever that man wasn't planning on selling me anything. And that also leads to the disturbing thought that I was very close to becoming a lifeless statue staring out that man's back door.
Exactly. Oh, man. One more.
Number 1. I was looking to buy the iPhone 5 about a year ago. I found a guy on Craigslist who was selling his for $200. He claimed it was in mint condition and that he wanted to upgrade to the 5C. I didn't know much about how to go about testing a
I don't have an iPhone and I don't know too much about iPhones. There's an iPhone 5C. There was a C. I think I heard of the iPhone 5, but there was a 5C. Like I said, I don't know anything about iPhones, but a 5C seems kind of rather odd.
And that he wanted to upgrade to the 5C. I didn't know much about how to go about testing a phone to make sure everything works, so I brought my little brother along who knew a lot more than I did. We met halfway at a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot at like 10 o'clock at night. Two large, intimidating...
A Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, 10 o'clock at night? Why you couldn't meet earlier in the day? Why a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot at night?
Guys stepped out of a black Honda Civic and walked over to us. One of the guys pulled out the phone and showed it to me. It didn't have a scratch on it. My brother took out my SIM card and popped it into this new phone. He did some testing and told me that it works. The guy then asked for $250, even though he originally asked for $200. I lied and told him I only brought $200, and he seemed a bit unhappy with this. I did have $250, but I didn't want to spend more than his original asking price. I kind of figured it was his way of making sure I didn't haggle down the price. I handed the guy the $200, and he and his buddy got back in their car. We got back into my car, and I tested out the new phone by calling my girlfriend. I sat testing things around for about 5 minutes. My brother commented on the fact that the two guys hadn't left yet either, but I didn't really care. I started the car and pulled out of the parking lot. My brother then commented that the two guys started their car just as I had.
At that moment, what do? You drive your behind to the police station. Y'all want to follow me? I'm taking you to the police station. Let's go. Let's ride. Everybody ready? Y'all buckled up? Y'all ready to go? Everybody ready? That's where we going. That's where we going.
Didn't find it too weird. I drove down the turnpike and eventually...
He didn't find it weird?
Stopped at a red light. That's when I noticed the black Honda Civic pull up right behind us in my rear view mirror. I found that a bit weird since I was sure they came from the opposite direction. I continued my drive home, but every single turn we made, they followed, and close on my tail too. My brother suggested I pull over, but there was no way I was going to do that. I knew those guys were looking for trouble.
Exactly. Do not pull over.
It got to the point where I was trying to lose them and started driving dangerously. If they needed something, they would call or at least honk their horn, but they were looking for some kind of trouble. I tried something risky to lose them. At an intersection, the light had just turned red. I floored it across the intersection before any of the cars would begin to pass. My brother shouted at me, calling me stupid and crazy, but it worked. They didn't follow. We got home after the extra long drive. My heart was still racing from the intensity of the situation.
And think about it today. Like certain phones, just buy your phone from a regular store because they can track these phones nowadays. So you're thinking everything's all well and good. You get home and you don't realize that they're tracking the phone. You know what I'm saying? They're tracking your phone so they know exactly where you are and they show it right to your house. Just buy your stuff from, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to stuff like that can be tracked and different things like that.
I was just happy I got a working phone for such a low cost. Later that night, I was playing around with the phone trying to set some things up before going to bed. My parents and brother were already asleep at this point, and just then, the sound of 2 car doors slamming shut outside interrupted me. I looked out my window, and I felt like my heart completely stopped. The black Honda Civic was parked across the street. I could only assume the 2 guys were already halfway to our front door.
Oh my gosh, bro. No!
I immediately woke up my dad and explained everything as quickly as possible. He got up, grabbed a baseball bat, and crouched behind the front door. A loud knock came at the front door. My dad screamed at them to go away. One of the guys on the other side of the door claimed to have a gun and said that he would shoot the lock off of the door if he didn't open up. My dad told me to call Joe, our friend who lives 2 doors down who happens to be a police officer. I called Joe and he said he would be right over and to stay hidden. Here's the part that still scares me to this day. There was the sound of a silenced shot of a pistol. I peeked over and saw a bullet hole in the door, inches away from my dad's head. My dad ran away from the door and we all listened. We heard Joe outside yelling at them to drop their weapons. My dad went outside to help when they lowered their guns. Joe arrested the 2 assholes. I have to say, this was the scariest day of my life, but it was also the best I had ever felt in my entire life.
Yo, that puts some stuff into perspective, don't it? That'll make you think twice when you be getting these purchases that you be trying to find the best deal on, right? It'll make you think. And that's kind of what I hope to convey in this video, man. I hope was gonna be the case. So I feel like that was achieved in the video. You know what I mean? Something to make people think about so these things won't happen. I feel as though if we do these stories and listen to some more of these type of stories, that's why I wasn't too opposed to doing it when I thought about it and I sat back and evaluated it. You know what I'm saying? This would be helpful to somebody who could be about to make a purchase like this and could probably save their life. You know what I'm saying? So y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all thought of this 3 true Craigslist horror stories, man. And let me know if you've ever had any experience with some different things. I'm anxious to hear, man. It's your boy L. Stick around and stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Till the next reaction video, I'm out. Peace. Y'all stay solid, man. Hey.
What we do here is go back.